Welcome gamers to this week's vlog. It's been an extremely busy week for me with non-gaming related issues I've been sorting out. However, I still managed to get a couple of platinum trophies. I had a trip to CEX and made a couple of cool pickups that I'm going to be sharing with you later in the video. Also, we're now over the halfway mark in the Ultimate Trophy Hunters Challenge, so it's about time that you had a bit of a detailed update on where we're all at with the challenge so far. Are we on track or have we fallen behind? Wait and see later in the video. Also, as usual, I'll be answering a couple of questions from the community. But before all of that, let me give you a quick recap of the games I've played and what those platinum trophies are that I've earned this week. So with gaming time for me this week being heavily restricted, I decided to just play a couple of games that I didn't have to focus too much on and that were pretty easy. So I went for the platinums on Zombies Ruined My Day and Quake II. As you can see from the screenshots, I managed to get the platinum in both within a few days, and also was able to jump in and jump out of them just to make sure I keep my daily streak alive. So let's have a little bit of a deeper dive into both of those games. My first platinum this week was for Zombies Ruined My Day. This is a 2D zombie survival game which is very simple but great fun, and at times it provided a nice level of challenge to make it interesting, trying to work out the best strategy to survive each level without actually outstaying its welcome and becoming frustrating. I really loved the colourful and cartoony art style as well, which I thought added a real element of charm to the game. The game is comprised of 3 distinct zones that you need to survive in, with each zone having 8 levels of ever increasing amounts of zombies, as well as being introduced to tougher zombies as you progress through each zone, with a final boss at the end that needs to be defeated to completely clear the zone. Ammo management is critical to success, which along with the weapons are dropped from certain zombies when you kill them, introducing a real need to come up with a strategy to ensure that you do not get overrun and that you're able to survive. I had a ton of fun playing this game and highly recommend it to anyone that likes this style of game, but it's pretty cheap on PSN, so if you've not tried this style of game before, then it's an ideal cost-effective entry point into the genre. The second platinum of the week was for Quake II. This first-person boomer shooter originally came out in 1997 and was a great follow-up to the original Quake that came out the previous year, and in my opinion was able to stand as an equal to the classic Doom games of that era. The original Quake had a Dungeons and Dragons feel to it, but Quake II took on more of a science fiction approach to the story, where you're playing as a space marine who crash lands on an alien planet that is at war with humankind and inhabited by an alien race called the Strogg, who are half mutant and half machine. This remaster of the game for modern day consoles plays extremely well and runs very smoothly and fast paced. The story progresses via a number of different missions that you are tasked with completing, and the trophy list is an extremely simple one whereby you only need to complete each level of the original game along with the expansions as well that they've included. So nothing is missable, so there's absolutely no need for a guide either, making this an extremely enjoyable and very easy trophy list. If you're a fan of boomer shooters, then this is a must play. But if you've not really played any of these retro shooters before, then along with the original Quake game that also had a modern day console remaster treatment, then Quake games are a great entry point into the genre. I would also say that as both games have completely separate stories, you really don't need to play them in order, and the first game has much more difficulty, so I would say Quake II is probably the easier game to start with. Now that we're into July and past the halfway mark of the Ultimate Trophy Hunters Challenge, I thought it's a good time to give a bit of an update as of the end of June to see where we're at. If you're new to the channel and have no idea what this challenge is all about, then please feel free to have a look in the description and find a link to the originating video that gives all the details and rules for the challenge, and also a link to the spreadsheet that I'm using to track my progress, and feel free to make a copy of that if it's something that you want to take on the challenge yourself. The challenge has been designed that you don't have to start on the 1st of January like I did. You can start at any point in the year and run it for 365 days. On screen now is a summary of the progress being made by myself and other members of the Discord community that are also taking part in the challenge, with all stats showing as of the 30th of June, which was the halfway point. And I draw your attention to the bottom of the screen where there's some notes. These detail little changes to the individual challenges that certain community members have made to suit their own personal requirements. Also, I just want to say that I'm not going to go through every single challenge and every single person's current progress in detail, because I don't think that would make for very entertaining viewing if it's just me sitting here shouting numbers at you for the next 10 minutes. So if you're interested in really analysing where we're all at, then please feel free to pause the video now and digest all the information at your own leisure. But in terms of pacing of the video, I just wanted to say a very big thank you to all of the community members that are taking part, as well as all the community members that are not doing the challenge but are helping to support all of us that are doing the challenge in the Discord server. We're having lots of discussions about games that we are putting on a roadmap to play for the final 6 months to be able to try and complete the challenge. We're all supporting each other, giving each other sort of advice on games that we think we should go for, and there's lots of discussion going on where we're all trying to help each other out and make sure that we all try and get as many of the challenges completed as possible by the end of the year. It's created a great community sort of spirit, and I'm so happy that everyone that's taking part is really enjoying it so far. The second 6 months of the challenge is probably going to start to get quite tense as we get closer to the end, and the amount of games still needing to be played, especially with some of the harder games and longer games still outstanding. Then the pressure is going to build, and it's going to make us quite exciting times towards the end of the challenge, and maybe a little bit stressful for some of us. So keep it locked into the channel to see how we progress as the year goes on. And again, thank you to all of the community for supporting me through the challenge, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. So I had to come into town today, so I may as well check out the local CEX while I'm here. Let's see what they got. So as I was approaching CEX, I saw in the window there was a PS4 Pro The Last of Us Part 2 variant. I don't really collect console variants, but I thought that looked pretty nice. As always, some Super Nintendo, and I really like the Alien 3 Super Nintendo game. I don't collect for the Super Nintendo, but I was tempted nonetheless because I just love Alien games so much. Also, for the Mega Drive, Spider-Man jumped out at me. Ghouls and Ghosts was a little bit damaged there, so I wouldn't have got that. But Spider-Man's one I'm interested in picking up at some point. And for the PS1, there's a few games, not too many in this CEX, but nothing that I don't already have or I'm interested in. PS3, this came to my attention. Back to the Future, the game, £30. It's double that price on PS4. I actually own both already, so I don't need it, but seeing it on the shelf like that. And also Deadpool, £35 on PS3 now. That's probably halved in price from what it was about a year ago when the film came out. So it's about time to show you the pickups I got from CEX this week, with the first one being from the sort of system that I enjoy collecting for the most at the moment, and that's the PS3. And I think it's a fantastic system to collect for at the moment because most games are pretty cheap and you can get quite a big collection for very little money, and there's some fantastic games to be had. The one I got today was Men in Black Alien Crisis. Now, I don't actually know too much about this game. Obviously I know the films and I'm a big fan of the films. The gameplay looks quite good fun. It's such a cheap game that I just thought I'll take a gamble. If it's not particularly great gameplay wise, then I haven't lost a lot of money on it. But essentially, it's a game I'm excited to give a try. As always, I always buy complete in box, so manual included. And it's a game that if you've played it, let me know and tell me what you think in the comments. The second game that I bought was a PS2 game, and that one is Terminator 3 Redemption. Now, I've already got the Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. This is already in my collection, and there are actually 3 different Terminator 3 games for the PlayStation 2, and I still need to look out for and get the other one. Show you on screen now what the 3 are, but again, not played this one. It's also complete in box, very good condition, and again, very cheap. All these games are just a couple of quid each, and you know, I think games like that are just worth taking the risk on and seeing what you think, especially if you're a fan of the sort of genres, and I'm a fan of the films. So you know, I like collecting sort of franchises as well as sort of like the games. I collect the films as well, so I'm excited to give that one a try, and also still going to look for that 3rd game in the sort of like, you know, Terminator 3 trilogy that came out on the PS2. So that was it for my pickups this week, and I'm hoping to get to another CEX sometime very soon and see if I can pick up any more bargains. So keep it locked to the channel to see what else I manage to get. It's now time to answer some community questions, with this week the first question being supplied by The Dog Playing, and that is, who is your favourite, most memorable villain from a video game you have played? Well, before giving you my favourite, I just want to give one honourable mention, and that is to the Joker from the Arkham series, which is of course voiced by the legendary Mark Hamill. But on to my favourite, and that would be Handsome Jack from Borderlands series, and particularly Borderlands 2. I just think the amount of sort of laughs I got from playing the game with Handsome Jack's quotes is more than any other game I've played. And he's just, you know, absolutely fantastic in the sort of one-liners that he came out with. It's just one of those things that I can't really show you too much, and I can't really sort of like do much without spoiling it. So all I'd say is recommend, if you've not played Borderlands 2, then you definitely should, because it's such a fantastic game anyway. However, the villain of Handsome Jack is just an outstanding performance and was written so well.
People of Pandora, this is Handsome Jack, your hero. We all know that ever since I took over your armpit of a planet, Pandora has been at peace. Until these pathetic vault hunters showed up, that is. A grizzled commando who can control the battlefield with his turret. The rage-filled gunzerker. Hit me, I dare you! When a single gun goes in and up. A siren, mystical and deadly, harnessing the powers of all 4 elements. And this assassin thing.
The true world reveal.
I don't know what his deal is. Alright, that was actually kind of cool. You know, you idiots are so pathetic. Do you have any idea how much firepower you're gonna need to take me down? I locked a whole goddamn lot. Okay, that's a lot of guns. But sorry, kiddos, you really got no chance. Because I've got a few tricks up my sleeve that I wouldn't want to spoil the surprise. Suffice it to say, Vault Hunters, I'm gonna kill you. You want to prove me wrong? You want to stop the greatness that is Handsome Jack? Well, come and get me.
This week's second question comes from Sabriel, which is, what game you could play forever or you're coming back to? So Sabriel, this is a very difficult one to answer just one game, and I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that all retro games, because I have such a fondness and love for retro gaming, and there are hundreds if not thousands of games that I will keep going back to play and always will go back to play, and it's just way too many to list out now. So I'm just going to lump all retro games in there as the ones that essentially I would always go back and play. But to be a bit more fair and give you some individual games, I'm just going to keep it to more modern day sort of consoles, with the first being something that won't be a surprise to anyone that's a regular of the channel, and that's Elite Dangerous. Now Elite Dangerous obviously is my proudest platinum, it's my proudest 100%. I can still go out into the Milky Way galaxy that's been recreated and just explore for hours on end, just doing all sorts of different things. I have such a deep nostalgia from the original game on the Commodore 64, which is another one that I would go back and play as well. But essentially, Elite Dangerous in the modern day era is one that I would never get bored of, and always would be there for me to go out and explore. Just hope it can continue to do that, because it is reliant on sort of Frontier keeping the servers alive, which share the background sort of simulation that it works on. And there will be a day when probably it won't be possible to play, which will be very sad. My second game would be the original Borderlands from the PS3, and I lump in the PS4 version as well, because Borderlands, the original game, is one of my favourite sort of shooter looters. And although I love Borderlands 2, I don't think anything betters the original as far as my experience. I've played through so many times, and I've played through with every character multiple times. I have no idea how many hours I've spent on Borderlands on both PS3 and PS4. I've got the Platinum and 100% on the PS3. I got the Platinum and I've done 3 of the DLCs on the PS4. The only one that I'm not keen on is the DLC for Mad Moxie with the arena fights. It's just quite repetitive and boring, and I haven't got round to doing that yet for the PS4 to get the 100%, but I will be doing it this year, because that's going to be one I'm going to be ticking off for my backlog part of the challenge that I'm doing this year. And essentially, Borderlands as a game is one that I will always go back to and play through at times where I just can't think of something else to do, or I'm stuck for something to play. Then I fall back on just giving Borderlands a go and just running through the game and just trying things out a little bit different from the previous times. It's such a fun game. If you've never played it, you really should. The third game is Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne was my first From Software game, my first Soulsborne game, so it introduced me to the whole Soulsborne genre, and I absolutely love gothic horror. I love the style of the game, I love the gameplay, and it's one that just gave me such a great experience on my first playthrough, and it's one that I will keep going back to, and I'll just keep having playthroughs, trying different things out, trying different builds, different weapons, which you can do in fairness on all of the From Software games, but Bloodborne will be the one that I'm probably going to keep going back to. And I just hope one day we do get that Bloodborne remaster for the PS5 or even PS6 when that comes out, or at least get a sequel to it, but something that, you know, will essentially just take it forward. If not, then I'll just keep playing the PS4 version, because I still have fun with it and I always will do. So I hope that answers your question. So that's it for another week's vlog. I would just like to take this opportunity to say a very big thank you to the gaming legends you can currently see on screen, who are my Patreon supporters. If you're interested in joining our Discord community, then please follow the link for Patreon in the description. Also, please consider dropping a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, as this really does make a big difference to help grow the channel. And as always, I love reading your comments, so please let me know what games you're playing, what platinums you've been earning, and maybe what games you've been buying recently. With all that being said, please enjoy your games, take care, and look after yourselves.